All right, we're about to start. Dr. Andrew Bajaj, I am going to spotlight you in 3 seconds. We're actually on YouTube Live now. And all right, we're about to start. There you go. Dr. Andrew Bajaj. All right.
Everyone, and welcome to our webinars, Women in Cybersecurity, Choose to Challenge and Gender Equality. And I hope everyone is enjoying the evening. And let's begin. Okay, so just before we begin, as a charitable organization, we are doing the land acknowledgement, and we are committed to working towards meaningful reconciliation. We believe that the acknowledging the traditional territory on where we work and live is a small, but it is very important step in the process. It reminds us to learn more about our Indigenous people in all regions throughout the Canada. And in that spirit, I would like to acknowledge that the land where I am situated today is a traditional land of Treaty 1 and is the original land of Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji Cree, Dakota, Dani people, and the homeland of Métis Nation. And we respect that treaties were made on these territories, and we acknowledge that the harms and the mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to move forward with a partnership with Indigenous community in the spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. We acknowledge that our water is a source from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation, and I will encourage all of you to reflect on where you live and work and how can we all contribute to reconciliation and contribution. So there are some housekeeping rules I would like to go over with you. So please note that today's event will be video recorded and it is live on our YouTube with a closed captioning in English. And we will take oath that we will keep our cell phones muted, and chat box will be monitored and questions are directed to moderator to ask during question and answer. If you don't get a chance to have your question answered, our networking bliss, they will include to our speaker, so you don't have to worry, it will be answered in the time span. So just to go over with you, our mission, Society for Canadian Women in Science Technology, mission is to create an environment where women and girls in Canada, they can pursue their interest, education, and career in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, without any barrier. We aim to accomplish this through education, networking, mentorship, partnership, and advocacy. So there are lots of programs that we offer. Just to mention quite a few, our program is Make Possible. This is like together we create opportunities, and that's a STEM mentorship program, advancement in STEM. We provide some leadership qualities, we provide mentoring and networking, and lots of professional development opportunities in that one. There is a special program, we have it for the immigrating women in STEM, that is AVIX, and this helps internationally trained women in STEM to start and build their careers in Canada. So again, more networking and skill development opportunities in that one. Another one we have is as a MS Infinity. As we know, math and science infinite possibilities, and we have STEM conferences, scholarship, and lots of volunteer opportunities. So there are lots other events. I don't want to take so much of your time, but please have a look at our website for the events. And there you will find the weekly brown bag seminars, our international forum, our all different events, and we update it regularly. Please have a look. So with that note, I'm going to introduce our today's moderator, Ms. Aarti Gadia, to proceed with today's session. And please, Aarti, here you go.
Thank you very much. Well, first and foremost, Jambo, Namaste, Konnichiwa, Bonjour, and greetings to all of you. Thank you for joining us today as we cover the topic, Women in Cybersecurity, Choose to Challenge. It's a great month to celebrate as it's Women's History Month, and a great way as it's the last day, but it still continues even though the month has ended. My name is Aarti Gadia, and I will be the moderator today, as mentioned earlier on. A little bit about me is that I'm originally from Kenya, and I studied in the UK and I moved in to Canada in 2004. I'm based in Vancouver now. And I joined the cybersecurity as a sales professional. And those of you who know me, I'm passionate about diversity. I founded She, Sharing Her Empowerment, and Stand Out to Lead to empower more women to get onto corporate boards. I also sit on the OWASP board, the Women in Cybersecurity Western Canadian affiliate that my panelists here are all on. And I also volunteer at the ISACA She Leads Tech Vancouver board. This year, I removed huge big fear that I had. I hate writing, but I actually took that challenge to write, and which is also, as part of my journey of writing, is to not be afraid of the outcome. And that's why I wrote my journey. I wrote my journey in a book called The Rise of the Cyber Women, Volume 2. In terms of agenda, I'll share a few statistics and the problem we have in cybersecurity. I'll then introduce our 4 panelists here who will introduce themselves. You'll hear their amazing journey and how they turned a challenge into an opportunity. They will share a few tips and they will share their choose to challenge. We've saved 15 minutes at about 6:30 for an open Q&A, and then we'll have breakout rooms so that you can all individually in smaller breakout rooms share your journey, ask questions. It's going to be very informal and informative. Before we get started, as all the events are all virtual, I'd like to encourage some form of engagement and audience participation through the chat window. So in the chat window, please, if you can, type in your name, the city, and a fun fact, and something optional is maybe share your choose to challenge. So for example, and I'm going to do this live while we're here, is for example, my name is Artie. I live in Vancouver. A fun fact about me is I ride motorcycles, and my choose to challenge is to challenge the status quo. So please, I'd love to see audience participation. I'd love to see where everyone's from. And your choose to challenge. Here's an example. And while you're doing that, I will continue to add a bit more context for what's happening. So we'll take a few minutes to understand the challenges we see in cybersecurity. So first and foremost, I'll start with a couple of statistics. According to Cybercrime magazine, women represent 20% of the global cybersecurity workforce. And as we move into the C-suite, from the McKinsey report, the numbers went up from 17% in 2015 to 21% in 2019. I don't have the latest numbers, but it is, while it's increasing, it's still increasing at a very slow rate. And it would, at these numbers, 1% per year, it would take us into 2050 before we see parity. In fact, 2 weeks ago, when I was watching the news, business news, and because it's Women's History Month, the plan was to hit parity by 2030, but in the news, they said the timeline has shifted to 2032. So laws have been implemented, and while it can lead to progress, it doesn't address the root cause of lack of gender diversity in company leadership and on boards. So what is root cause? Is it that there is a lack of awareness in cybersecurity industry? Is there an unconscious bias? Or are these barriers that we're seeing? Is it just only for women that we're seeing? Is it underrepresented groups? What are the barriers? The other problem we've heard is that there is a shortage in cybersecurity. There's an article from ISC2 that shared there's 2.8 million professionals in cybersecurity in 2019, and we would need another 4 million to fill that gap. A recent report showed that a shortfall in skills gap has dropped and is now down to 3.1%, but it's still a gap. So how are we going to find more? Is the problem that there is a shortage in cybersecurity professionals? Or is the challenge we can't find the right talent? And to solve this 3.1 million shortage in cyber skills, the challenge isn't that we don't have enough cybersecurity professionals. The challenge is we are limiting ourselves, and we need to look beyond the traditional way of hiring. Increasing diversity and breaking down these barriers will solve the problem. So how are we going to break down these barriers? You're going to hear a lot more from the panelists. But one more last stat that I want to highlight is according to Pew Research, in 2019, there were 29.5 million women with a bachelor's degree versus 29.3 million men. With such a large pool of talent, why is it so difficult to fill these spots? All we need is 3.1 million. Why do we limit applicants only if they have a certain degree? Last year, I ran a fireside chat with 3 women, and all 3 of us, we fell into cybersecurity by accident. In fact, last week, there was a conference, and I had another fireside chat, and one of the panelists moved from HR to the SOC team. The other graduated in media and moved into cybersecurity. Many of us fell into cybersecurity by accident and have proved that you don't need technical skills to enter cybersecurity. And we highlighted the importance of soft skills. The adversary does not have any barriers, so why should we? Put it this way, if we do nothing, there will be a shortage. But if we challenge the status quo, which is to challenge hiring managers to remove the barriers to entry and look beyond the traditional way of hiring, this will solve the shortage. And lastly, I've heard that the reason why we don't have enough underrepresented groups, including women, in leadership is because we don't put our hand up, or we lack confidence, or we're simply not qualified. When you do put your hand up, I know I've put my hand up several times. Many times when I have done that, I've either been told you don't have experience, or you may be discouraged. Some of you may face microaggression, some of you may not be supported. And life is like a safari. You will have a bumpy ride. For some of you, you'll get to your destination in 5 minutes. For others, it may take hours, or maybe you might detour along the way. Everyone has their own path. And I know in my safari, I don't know where it's taking me, but I can tell you, it started off with a very high brick wall in this industry. And it's just been such a fantastic experience in breaking down each piece, breaking down these barriers. I don't know how many pieces are left to break, but I will keep fighting, and I'm fighting for equality. And we've had a journey where we've all faced a bias. And for me, I was faced with several obstacles in this industry, from getting into sales, as I didn't fit the personality type, to barriers getting into leadership positions. And while I can't change the past, I know I can be a voice to pave the path for future generations. This is why, as we start the theme for today, which is choose to challenge, as I mentioned earlier on, my choose to challenge is to challenge the status quo. And to do that, I need to take action. We all need to take action. I will be a change agent. I will be a voice. I will challenge. I will question. I will speak up, and I will fight for equality. It will be uncomfortable. It will be hard. And I know there is still fear inside me. There's still that little fear. But I'm doing this to break down the barriers in our industry. And the message I'd like to get across is that no matter what you're faced with, speak up, stay authentic, and don't be afraid of the outcome. With that, I'm excited to introduce you to our 4 panelists here. And let's start off with introduction. I'd like to start introducing the first panelist. Let's start off with Manny. If you can introduce yourself and a little bit about your journey.
Sure, that was a power-packed introduction. Absolutely, Aarti. And thanks everyone for taking time to attend this event today. My name is Mani, and I'm a cybersecurity professional with work experience starting in India. Then I did, but in London. I moved to Bermuda for a couple of years, and now I'm in Vancouver. So I currently serve as the security lead at Ballot Power Systems. My work experience comprises building cybersecurity strategies, developing security initiatives, incident response, risk assessments, and adopting a holistic approach to security at an enterprise level. I hold a Bachelor of Technology in Electronics and Communication, and I'm an MBA in Information Security. I also currently serve as the president of Visa's Western Canada affiliate. I'm passionate about giving back to cybersecurity community, and I wish to see more women in cybersecurity in future. Outside of work, you might see me trying extreme sports, traveling, or playing badminton. I see the chat going on through, yes, I think I totally agree with the audience talking about having more women in cybersecurity. Can't wait to discuss more in the panel discussion. Thanks, Arti.
Fantastic. I'm just reading the chat. It's fantastic. All your backgrounds and things like that. That's awesome. So next on the panel, Mana, please introduce yourself and a little bit about your journey.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mana Ing, based out of Calgary, Alberta. So anybody in the Mountain Time Zone. So I'm the Director of Business Development at Tykins Group, an innovative tech company here in Calgary, Alberta. We've been supporting pandemic initiatives with Alberta Health Services and just a wild ride with them. So really impacting our environment, Albertans' lives right now. And so my background spans 20 years. I've been in IT for 20 years. But before that, started in general admin, service coordination, but I knew I wanted more. I wanted to do more than just be an administrator. So I went back to school into a 9-month intensive program studying business analysis and programming. And I thought my journey was going to be a programmer, shy, introvert. I was just going to be behind a computer doing my thing, never really interacting with anybody. But my course was set on a different path. A person came into my life right when I graduated and said that didn't seem like the right fit for me. And so I've been a career business analyst for 20 years in software development, content management, business processes, IT infrastructure, and then finally IT security. And so that's why I'm part of this group. So I have a real strong feeling and advocacy for IT security for individuals in their personal lives as well as for companies. So I still advocate for that in the role that I play now and where I'm interacting with clients. Password security around information and privacy is really important to me. And so I advocate for that. And so I guess what I would like to say is to the point that Artie made about soft skills versus technical skills. As a business analyst, as a project manager, all those soft skills really come into play, even in IT security, in all aspects of IT. That is really important. And so yeah, as in my new role as a director of business development here, I merge those soft skills with my experience in the IT industry, as well as a growing love and maybe somewhat of a natural field for creativity and marketing and business development. So thank you so much. I'll pass that back to Artie.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's awesome background, Mana. And we've known each other for quite a few years as well. Next panelist is Timmy. Please introduce yourself further and your journey.
Hi, Ati. Thank you so much for that great introduction and everyone that's spoken so far. So again, my name is Timmy Tokbayode Ali, and I had old bachelor's degree in computer engineering from a university in Nigeria. And also I had my master's in information system security and management in Concordia University of Edmonton. And I've worked with like 3 companies before joining ICBC. So I've worked with Entity Data as information system senior consultant. I've worked with Concentrix as security specialist. And now I'm with ICBC, so the Corporation of British Columbia. So, and yeah, that's just a brief thing about me. So right now, I'm actually working with them. I do some security risk assessments. I do vendor information security reviews. I coordinate ISO 27001 compliance processes and also manage incidents. So that's what I'm doing right now. And my hobbies are singing. I love cooking and also listening to music. So that's just a brief thing about me. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, we'll have to exchange recipes since we share the same passion for cooking. That's
fantastic. Yeah.
Wonderful. And the next one on our panelist is Sri. Please introduce yourself further and your background.
Hold on, please, while I locate Sri. Hold on. Sri. Are you around? Okay, hold on, please.
No worries.
Sri, could you please just unmute yourself and then I will try to find you. I can't find her.
I think we may have lost, or she may have lost connection. So
yes.
So why don't we run through the panel discussion and then?
Yeah, as soon as she comes back, then I'll ask her to introduce herself. Fantastic. Okay, so we've got our 3 panelists, and as soon as Sri joins in, we'll get her introduced further. So the second question I'd like to ask the 3 of you is, I know, as I mentioned earlier on, I have faced a lot of barriers during my journey from my personality. And I could really relate to Mana when you mentioned that I failed the personality test. I was supposed to be that extrovert in the top right-hand corner, and I didn't get the job. But I still proved others wrong, or the director who rejected me, I still proved them wrong by showing them what I could do. And 2 years later, they came knocking on my door to join their team. So I understand sometimes like the personality test, but what it did do, the beauty of this is I didn't change who I was. The beauty of this was I was able to get rid of that awful personality test. I see Shree's just joined in. There we go.
And we have to, yeah,
okay.
Sorry.
So maybe before I move into the next question, Sri, we just finished off introductions. If you can please introduce yourself further and your journey.
Sure, Arti. Sorry for the inconvenience. My internet has some issues.
That's okay.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And my name is Sridevi. I'm living in Edmonton, Alberta, and currently working for ADCO. I have diversified background from different large organizations. I worked in banking sector and then telecom and then utilities. So many things. This gave me opportunity to explore different areas of security. I'm just completed 14 years of my cybersecurity career by this month. So this is my professional background. Personally, I'm a energetic and active person, and I'm a successful mom and wife and a daughter and sister, and my parents feel so proud about me. I'm so glad about that I'm able to achieve in these many years. And now I'm here to share my experiences to influence you, because I'm working from last 30 years and I'm still having some barriers. I don't want you all have to face all these challenges. That's why I would like to share my experiences so that you'll influence and break them. That's what my intention to be here today. Over to you, Aarti.
Fantastic. And earlier this week, it was a great celebration birthday of yours. So there we go.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for that lovely introduction. So we'll move to our second question is, what barriers have you faced and what barriers do women in cybersecurity face? Let's have Mana start off with that question.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to focus on my most common experiences. Starting out in IT. So what I experienced was moving into, and it was oil and gas companies because I'm in Calgary, Alberta, moving into oil and gas companies in the IT department and being a business analyst. It was a fairly new role in those departments, and it was all male. I think there's one female who I'm very close friends with now, and then as well. But there was only one other female in the whole department. So it was a male-dominated department in IT, and they were not familiar with the role of a business analyst. So there were questions around the validity of this role and its purpose, and if there was any reason for, not my existence, but for this role in the IT departments. And so what I brought on myself was I thought I needed to be ultra professional. So I made everything really division between professional work and private life was very private, and I didn't mix the two. And I thought that would help me fit in, be seen as what's the word? Be seen as good enough, accepted by their standards. So I was very cautious about sharing anything personal. A lot of my coworkers didn't know I had a child. I kept that very private, just making sure everything was all about work. And so I've learned since then that that's not how you need to be. Women, and that's my choose to challenge. I'm sorry, I'm jumping the gun here, but that you can share all of yourself, even in a work environment. It makes you human. It shows the other side of you, and it shows that you're capable no matter your education experience and your personal life. So I would share that male-dominated departments, and then bringing a new role to the mix in the IT department.
Yeah, no, I can totally relate. Many times, many of us face that you don't fit in. So I can totally relate to that story. Let's move on to Timmy. I'd love to hear what barriers, if there are any barriers you've faced, and what barriers women in cybersecurity face.
All right. So thank you so much, Hattie, again. So for me, moving from one country to the other, that's like a different culture differences. So, and that opens my eyes to see how different the educational and the workplace is from country to country, And after my master's degree at Concordia University of Edmonton, I was concerned about getting a job into the job market. And so I started sending my resume out early to different companies through LinkedIn, as we all know, Indeed.ca. And also the barrier I faced was getting response like, sorry, we have moved on to another person. So every time I get that, I always feel bad and like, okay, just looking at myself, well, can I do this again? So I keep getting that pushback. So you see, I applied to several companies, being on my laptop from like morning till evening. So looking for a new opportunity in a new country and also the environment, but getting a no for an answer. And that made me feel like less of myself. So I was kind of judging myself as not qualified to work in the field of cybersecurity. And another thought then came to my mind that, okay, you have all the qualification that you need. And so you're qualified to apply. So that was the barrier that I faced.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that, being an immigrant myself. And I know there's many here many of us from Canada who've moved from different countries and have faced that. So can totally relate to that and being rejected, right? Rejection after rejection. It's hard. It's definitely hard. So let's move on to Sri. Perhaps if you can share your any barriers you face and what women in cybersecurity face, what barriers they face.
Sure, Arti. Yeah, in my perspective, barriers are different from person to person. In my experience, there were many, but most of the biggest one I still feel is language. Language is one of the biggest barrier for me in my career. English is not my mother tongue, so I learned and speaking, but I always have that inner fear, like I may make mistakes. So because of that, I used to, hesitate to raise my voice in the meetings and step back. Though I was performing very well and doing great things, but I was not able to confront to share that in the public. That was one of the biggest barrier for me. Then I realized about that. Then I did use the tools like I joined Toastmasters and practicing and socializing. By nature, I'm very social being. I'm very get along with the people. I accept the people and I respect them. I really enjoy with the people. That is one of the biggest strength for me in the career, in the cybersecurity career, especially when we are dealing with the people. We should be having those kind of skills. I have that strength, and that gave me opportunity to identify major security gaps and able to safeguard critical information and all those things. I did so many great things, but because of this language barrier, I used to step back. So I encourage you all, don't consider this as a barrier. So when we feel like it is barrier, that will be barrier. Otherwise, it won't be. And again, coming back to the changing the countries, I also migrated in 2014 from India to Canada, and I also faced a lot of challenges. But because of my people skills, I'm able to sustain. Though I have all these inner fears, and that really impacted about the stress levels, and it impacted to my health, and I spoiled my health because of this challenge. So now I would like to overcome all those, and I'm doing the meditation, yoga, and I'm a member of Art of Living, and I also teach in Telugu school, and I'll be volunteering in different areas to make myself more comfortable and confident, and serve the society I'm here. So that's what I would like to share with you. Don't feel that anything is a barrier for any. Nothing can stop us when we decide to do something.
Yes, totally agree. I mean, you brought a really good point as well. There's that fear of mistakes, and sometimes, you think about the language piece. So I know lots of people can relate to that story for sure. And I like how you're encouraging everyone, and meditation. That's such an important part, for sure. So thanks for sharing that as part of your journey. Manny, same question over to you.
Yeah, sure. I think it's great that everyone on the panel kind of shared their experiences. To coming to my perspective, I think one of the things that we come across in cybersecurity is the perception we have around in this field, specifically cybersecurity. It is perceived that cybersecurity jobs are always for men, and we have this picture of cybersecurity professional to be excellent in programming or any kind of networking or network engineering, sort of that stuff. I would also like to relate what everyone right now on the panel said. It's changing of countries. It's being yourself at workplace, and also being good at people skills. So cybersecurity is just not being technical. It's a mix of everything. How you would cover people, process, technology. You have to be people person because you need to talk to different stakeholders. You have to be technically good if you're in that kind of profile, and you should also be knowing about the process. So coming to cybersecurity itself, cybersecurity is a broad field which comprises of various areas like governance, you have incident response, you have application security, you have web apps, sort of that. And then you kind of, when people are newly introduced to cybersecurity, they think that it's only technical, and they take a step back saying that, oh, I'm not technically good enough, so maybe I'm not supposed to be in cybersecurity. That's the first step that everybody goes through. And the second step, being a woman, is maybe I should be technically strong. And, because there are so many men in this field, this might not be a place for me. I would like to quote what Aarti has just said at the start of the session, saying that there are only 20% women in this field. So that kind of explains the perception in the field, as well as how it's making others not to come in as easily as you would see in other fields. So breaking that perception and also creating awareness by women in this field can help and encourage women cyber professionals to take up this field. It takes a lot of effort to break that barrier, particularly when you move places. For me, it's like, it's not only just moving countries, because I've lived a bit in different places. It's also like having that learning and taking that courage in yourself, and just not being aware. It's not cybersecurity is just technical, it's about hacking, it's about penetration testing. No, cybersecurity is so broad, everybody can play a role. And it's high time that women should come into this field, because they bring out diverse perspectives, which are very much needed, because the threat landscape is changing, the risk landscape is changing. You never know where the attack is coming from. So we need that diverse perspective. And I would like to say that there's nothing, as Sri has pointed out, like if you try enough, if you learn yourself every day, keep yourself updated, cybersecurity is something that everybody can get into.
Well said. Thank you, Manny. That's amazing just to hear the 4 stories, from fitting in to rejection because of being an immigrant, language barriers and the fear of mistakes. And then technical versus soft skills, and having that diverse perspectives. That's, you know, just amazing just to hear your perspectives and see from your lenses. The next question I'd like to ask, which moves on into the barriers, is what changes have you brought along the way as you face this? Because like I said, life is like a safari and you will get these obstacles, and it's just breaking that brick one at a time. So what changes have you brought along the way? And are there any tips you would like to share to the audience? Let's start off with Timmy on that question.
All right, thank you again, Ati. So what changes? So what's for me, how I was able to break down these barriers that I had was firstly believing in myself, like telling myself every day that, okay, you can do it. You've done it before. At least you're able to move from one country to the other, then you can still forge ahead. So believing in myself and telling myself how it is possible for me to achieve my goals and aspiration. And that's if probably a women can do it, then like I can also do the same. So the first thing I did was to just believe in myself again. So, and then I spoke to some of my lecturers back in Concordia to stand as my reference. Like anytime I have a job, and I'll just tell them about it and for them to stand and speak for me. And they agreed to make a great recommendation about me to my chosen employers. And also that was how I was able to get my first and second job in both entity data and concentrics. So another challenge came when I moved to BC. So after quitting my job with Concentrics, and I needed to get a new job in another province. So I applied to several companies again. I was home for 1 year looking for a job. Then I decided to join the cybersecurity group in BC. So, and that was ISECA, ISSC Square, and also connect on LinkedIn for mentorship. So on LinkedIn, I hook up to a mentorship page on LinkedIn. I was sending out automated messages to random people to just ask them to be a mentor. But majorly, I was turned down on that proposal again, until one day I sent this message to a particular person, and the person was able to accept me in, and we chatted, we went to the mall, we had a chat, and that was it. That was how I was able to like break all those barriers. So from joining cybersecurity group in BC to the LinkedIn mentorship, I was able to get my job with ICBC. So that was my story. And if I believe that if you choose to believe in yourself, definitely there's no barrier.
I love how you said believe in yourself, and the first part. And just this afternoon, an hour ago, my husband and I were having a chat, and he reminded me, he's like, you need to believe in yourself. So, you know, that constant reminder. So I can totally relate to that. Let's go to same question over to Sri.
Sure, Arati. Yeah, actually, you all don't know that I haven't studied security. Actually, I was originally commerce graduate. When I joined cybersecurity, I don't know anything. I just know some internal audits from my banking experience. I used to conduct the internal audits based on the checklist. I just know that, but I'm really interested in that area, the checking and all. I developed the interest in the auditing when I was working in a bank with Reserve Bank of India auditors and all. Then in 2007, I got an opportunity from Verizon. They just hired me to manage that team of freshers, to manage one of the transition project from US to India. So I joined for that, and that was successful, and I was able to meet the cybersecurity director, and I got to know that there is an opportunity. Then I jumped in. I don't know anything about security when I joined. I just started with ISO 27001, and because of the abilities women all have, the vigilant nature. So because of that, even though I don't have technical background, don't know much about the security, but I was able to identify many great things. I don't even know that they are the great things. They will protect the information, and that is very important for the organization. Until I put in the table and discuss with the team, then only I come to know. And I'm alone in the team as a woman. Actually, they are all men and they are well experienced and from technical background and all. But still, I don't know anything about that. So I faced a lot of challenges because of that. Even though I come up with different things, they are not ready to discuss. Actually, they were under impression that I don't know anything. I don't have the technical background, those kind of things. So I put my efforts. Actually, I don't want let them to do that. So I just studied. I did many certifications and studied. Security is not a big deal actually when we put efforts and identify. But yeah, that helped me a lot actually, and I got an award from the Verizon CISO. Actually, when he came to India personally, he meet and gave me the award for my achievements in the career. So my cybersecurity journey started like that, and then I migrated here and joined Wipro. It is completely different role than I handled in Verizon. It is completely different, and it is for the technical project security assurance. Still, I accepted that offer, though I don't have experience. I struggled and able to prove myself because I am confident about my abilities. I have the adaptability skills. So anyone can do that. As Temi said, that believe in yourself, you can do the things. So after these many years of service, and last year I lost my job actually because of the process in the laid off. I lost my job, and I struggled a lot to get back into the job. I really wondered actually, though I have this much experience, these many abilities, but still people are rejecting me. Yeah, it is really painful to accept the rejection, but I never give up. I tried and tried, and again, I got so many offers, but those were all on freeze because of this pandemic and COVID thing. And again, recently, I got an opportunity from the same organization to work with them. They are well aware of my abilities. This called me. My interview was like kind of like a conversation. I don't even feel like I was in the interview board that time. So yeah, we had to be patient and believe in ourselves. Definitely, we can do anything. So every woman have that power actually. When compared to the men, women are very vigilant to identify the gaps, and especially in the cybersecurity, women are very important, I feel. So that's why I would like to you all to put your efforts and come to the front, believe in yourself, do miracles.
Fantastic. That's well said. I mean, and you're right. We can do anything, right? And back to what Temi said, believe in yourself. So that's great from what both of you have shared. Manny, same question to you. What changes have you brought along the way? And are there any tips that you'd like to share to the audience?
Sure. So I guess like change is how I brought along the way. I think as Shri and Timmy were noting about it, there's this unconscious bias that women put in excel and technical jobs, which is not true. And few things along the way that I learned in cybersecurity is that you have to constantly focus on learning. Cybersecurity is a broad field, and there is so much to learn from the past and the present, and you have to continuously keep updated because it's the environment itself keeps on changing. So being updated and on top of things will be your greatest asset as you go forward. And there might be some cases where you're new to technology or heard that it's just that women cannot understand a particular technology. The best thing to do at that point is invest in yourself, because there's nothing greater or better than improving your skills. Smaller steps can lead to bigger ones. I guess even though I had a background in information security, every time brushing up my skills, every time reading online articles, online data helped me a lot along the process, because I was able to talk about it. I was able to give different opinions about it. And also the most important thing is choosing a role model. So just when I was coming into information security during my master's, the idea is to basically draw the inspiration and be motivated to reach your goal. So there are excellent women role models who would be great examples of breaking barriers. And one of them for me personally is Sean Harris. So I came into the field by looking at her lectures, understanding what is network security, understanding what is, IT governance, sort of that. And then always be connected with your peers, because it's common to see less women in this field, as the statistics say. So we need to make every effort to connect and engage in conversations, because that kind of builds your interest as well as motivates you. And lastly, I think the most important part is basically giving out to the community. As you grow, you have to give back to the community to inspire more women to come and join you. That kind of builds that community. You basically connect, collaborate, and communicate. That's the most important as we move forward in more cyberspace, because that's what the production is going to be. Thanks, Arti.
That's amazing, and thanks for sharing. And you bring a really good topic on unconscious bias. I know many of us have seen that in our industry. I remember in my time, it was I was the top salesperson, and that year I should have been on stage, but I didn't get the award on stage, even though it was just this nice glass thing. I should have been on stage, but I didn't. And I questioned, speak up. I think you mentioned a little bit about that. And I did speak up and I questioned, and I know it was too late because they've already announced somebody else to get that award for the Salesperson of the Year award, even though I was the number one, clearly on the numbers. And what I did was I decided to question, and I questioned and I asked, and remove that bias within the organization so that women are equally recognized for their performance, because many times we're not recognized. So speak up, definitely. Let's move over to Mana, same question.
Unmute myself. So what changes have I brought along the way? I think first and foremost, and for me, I always turn internally first. What can I do? What's important to me? I always go back to the song, Michael Jackson, "Man in the Mirror." So women in the mirror, like looking here to me, what I can do, what I can affect. And I think realizing that I can be myself, realizing what my strengths are, and tapping into those strengths. So I think what I've brought to the table in all of the roles that I've played in the last 20 years is that I'm curious. I'm just always curious. I'm asking questions, wanting to learn. I'm resourceful. So I'll find answers and information from whoever. I'll take all donations. So if somebody's wanting to share information, spend time with me, share information, a couple hours on, F5 load balancing, I'll take it. I'll do my own research. I want to get to a point where I can speak intelligently and ask intelligent questions, and maybe some dumb questions about F5 load balancing, because that was really new to me. And I find that I flow, and that's part of who I am. I flow, and I think, and I've just heard this recently, but flowing with being flexible. Being flexible with, meetings, changes in direction, and I think that is seen as valuable. But that's just how I am. But also, I think finally, like celebrating. I think I was always very cautious or very stingy with celebrating others' wins. So, and especially with women, celebrating that, yes, you're doing a great job. Yes, you know what? That's not a big deal. Like you feeling that you have shortcomings, but you know what? It's not a big deal. So being supportive and celebrating each other, and showing that with men as peers, that this is how I am. Maybe this is how other women are, and then just influencing them that way. For me, I've not been. My approach has not been like a strong arm. It's a soft approach, and that's maybe added to the success I've seen as a career BA project manager. Project management is like about herding cats, and influencing people to move along, and to finish their tasks or whatever it is they're doing. And so I think that is what I've brought to, I guess, just being presenting myself, sharing myself, but also knowing who you are and what your strengths are.
That's great. I mean, I really like how you talked about celebrating and supporting, and absolutely, we all need to celebrate and support each other, but also build those allies so that they can also celebrate and put more, not just women, underrepresented groups in the spotlight and celebrate with us. So these are great points. You've talked about, all of you have talked about, you can do anything, be yourself, invest in yourself, and connect. I liked how you talked about the song and made it a woman in the mirror, and celebrate, right? So these are great tips of what each and every one of you have done. The last one, back to the theme of today, which is choose to challenge. So let's hear each one of you what your choose to challenge is and why, or what this means to you when you mention your choose to challenge, as I mentioned earlier on. So let's start off with Shri.
Sure, Arati. So I start with a picture. All of you able to see this picture? Okay, so this is me on top. I born in a remote village along with the two more sisters. And there was a belief like in that village, girls won't go to studies. Actually, there is law dowry system, and the parents would like to hesitate to make the girls study. Then again, they have to give the dowry to get them married. So these many barriers. But my mother is so different. She's ambitious and she believes in ourselves. Actually, we have 10 acres of land when we born. They invest all the land and they moved the city because we have only school until 5th class in that village. They moved because of us for our studies, and they invested on our studies. And my only intention in my childhood is to complete the studies and get into the job and support my parents. Then I don't want them to feel bad because we are all girls at the family. So that is only the intention when I started. I quickly started my graduation and I was working along with studying. I thought like there is waste of time putting efforts in my college full time. So that was the mistake I did actually. But luckily, immediately after the graduation, I got a job in the bank. And I was continuously studying since then. I completed my master's while working in the bank, and I also learned the computers. I did the coding while learning the things, and I did the database administration, SQL, and that during that time, database DBase 3+ is the beginning. Actually, I don't think so. You all never heard about those things. It was continuous learning. I'm still learning because I haven't paid attention in the beginning of my career actually. So I tell the people that just focus on the studies first. That base is very, very important. I still have that fear, like I haven't studied well. I didn't go to college and enjoy it much like you all. But still, that is not a barrier. When we are ready to take that challenge, we can stand up. Yeah, so my choose to challenges break those barriers.
I like how you bring it back to education for all, and especially for women. So that's very powerful. Choose to challenge. Thank you for sharing that, Shri.
Sorry. I just showed that picture because of you. I just came from that background, but still I'm stand up here. One of my sisters settled in UK. She's a citizen there, and I'm here. And one more sister is working in a hospital. She's in hospital management in India. So my parents are so proud that the efforts which they put on us, and in the same village also, they all realized.
Yeah. Inspire the village, your home village, about what you've all accomplished, right? And get more women to pursue education.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's very powerful. Manny, what is your choose to challenge?
So I think I kind of feel that there is this unconscious bias in everybody. It's not only, a specific type or, a specific person, but there is this unconscious bias where we kind of relate to everybody saying like, oh, this is related to this and that's related to that. So I want to challenge the unconscious bias. The need of the hour is to have more women in cybersecurity. And I choose to challenge that whoever says that women lack necessary skills to shine in cybersecurity. And on that note, I also want to bring that up that since we are all part of VISA's Western Canada, this is something that we would want to work on it and, take out initiatives on that. Thanks, Arti.
Yeah, unconscious bias, definitely. That's near and dear to my heart too. So thank you for sharing that. Let's move over to Mana. What's your choose to challenge, and why, or what does it mean to you?
My choose to challenge, and I posted it in the chat here, is that we as women are enough. Personally, and then with observations, I've seen that we don't feel like we're worthy, we don't feel like we're enough, and we've got to do way more. Way more. And so I think, and perhaps needing to be perfect in everything that we do, especially in the workplace, to prove your worth, to be accepted in the workplace by our peers. And so I think, I think at least in my role now, with staff and with a female boss, is showing grace, because I've received it myself. I've received grace and acceptance from my boss in situations where I was like, I was berating myself for failing at something which I thought was a fail, and she showed me so much grace and acceptance in that. I just was like blown away. I would have never expected that. And I was like secretly thinking, oh no, she's really mad at me. She's just showing incredible grace, but she truly was just gracious. And I think what I can do is again model that. And I think by modeling that, I'm hoping others will feel that grace and acceptance as well. And so again, with supporting each other, celebrating each other, lifting each other up. I have 3 women out of 4 that work with me. I don't like to say under me, because I see them as a team. We all work together for a common goal. And so where I can support them, where I can lift them up, where they're looking for more resources or training or education, I encourage them. Find something that you think would help in your role, your current role and your future role, whatever that may be. And let's discuss, and let's get you on that training course. So so my choose to challenge is that we are enough.
Absolutely. +1 or +100% to that. Totally agree. Thanks for sharing that, Mana. Same question over to Timmy, is if you can share your choose to challenge and what it means and why.
All right, sure, Hattie. So my choose to challenge was, if I would choose to challenge, it would be racism. So racism, the dictionary meaning of racism is a belief that human can be divided into hierarchy of power on basis of their differences in race or ethnicity. So that deals with some groups, or on a basis of difference, race and ethnicity, and is a frequent expressed through prejudice and discrimination. So I believe that can manifest itself through individuals, but also through societal and institution. So we've seen racism displays itself in so many ways, and that kind of is kind of creeping into the society so much in these days. So there's some racism that is like subtle, is not so loud, but by the actions you see that, okay, this is actually racism. And I choose to challenge that. And also for the fact that we're in cybersecurity, more men than women in the field. Like, for example, I'm the only one in my team, and I'm the only female in my team. We have other guys. So I was asking my manager, why don't we have more female? He said, okay, you tell them about the new roles if it's available. But it's not just about telling them about new roles, it's about them actually hiring them. That's what I want. So we can actually make that changes. And I choose to challenge that every day. Like, I usually tell my manager that this is what we have to do. And somehow, gradually it's kind of coming into his consciousness that, okay, this is what we have to do as a company, and not just, so I choose to challenge racism at all levels. So it's not just this is not just only applied to women alone. It also applies to men. I'm pretty sure there are men on this Zoom link today. So I choose to challenge racism because it's really, really something that we need to change, and I don't think is something good for us as human. We need to change that. Thank you.
Absolutely, that's very powerful of what your choose to challenge on racism, especially. I mean, this has been going on for so many years. Even there's a lot more happening today. Even during the pandemic, we've seen a lot of this happen. And just to wrap up before we open up, one big thing is, in general, promoting gender diversity in our industry is important, but it's easier said than done. Unconscious bias, second generation gender bias, and systemic barriers exist for underrepresented groups, including women. And one thing I always like to highlight is gender diversity shouldn't be a woman's problem to solve, or it shouldn't be an HR issue to handle. We shouldn't wait for legislation to be implemented or a movement to occur. It should be everyone's problem to solve. So I want to summarize what each four of you have highlighted as you choose to challenge, which education for women, unconscious bias, women are enough, and racism. These are very powerful choose to challenge. With that, we are at 6:32. So what we would like to do is open this up for open Q&A from the audience. By the way, thank you to the audience for your participation. This has been fantastic, just seeing your participation and your interaction and how we're all connecting with each other. So questions. Let's see, do we have any questions coming up?
I'm removing all spotlights. Please, our guests, feel free to share your video and ask your questions. Thank you. Maybe we can read some comments in the chat.
Yes, comments in the chat. I've seen from Caroline, joined a group of women leaders and coaches. We speak. We're focusing on bringing more women in the boardroom. That is wonderful. Yes, we do need more women in the boardroom. That percentage is still very low. Coaching,
Yeah.
mentoring.
And RTI, we have a question from May Villacampa. What courses do you suggest we start if we're currently working in a different field?
Fantastic. Yes, great question. Who would like to address that question on courses?
I guess as an initial response, I guess it depends on if you want to be in this sort of soft side, soft skill side, or the technical side. And I'll answer the soft side. So as a business analyst project manager, there is business analysis certificate courses. I took mine through ITI, which no longer exists. It was part of the big .com boom. So in Calgary, Alberta, there's University of Calgary, Mount Royal University that offers BA certificate programs. There's the business analysis side, eliciting requirements, being the liaison. So as a business analyst, you're a liaison between the business and the technical side. So working in between. So being able to speak business language. Really, it's a lot of the skills are listening skills, being curious, asking those questions to dig down into what the actual problems are or pain points are, and then being able to document that. So heavy into documentation, writing, communication is key, and then being able to share that with the development team or IT team that may not speak the business language. And so, so there's that component, but having some understanding of the technology underneath helps. So again, being curious about the technology, that'll help you speak with the technical team, but also be able to understand it at a higher level to be able to share that with the business. So I'll answer that from the BA PM side.
Fantastic. Would anyone else like to
All right.
add anything?
Okay. All right. So yeah, let me just speak to the cybersecurity piece. So if you're coming from a technical background, I think or coming in from maybe like IT specialist, or you want to come into the security field, there are some courses you can take. Definitely, you can take like SSCP. So that's like an ISC square kind of course. So that's like the basics. He's going to go through like different security field that you like to join. Also, there's also CISSP. We also have certification for SANS. So SANS has different certification for cybersecurity awareness training, for different trainings in cybersecurity. SANS can also fill that gap up for you too. Also, if you want to be like a business analyst, just like Mana said. So you want to be speaking the business language and at the same time speaking the technical language. You can as well do so many courses in ISACA. So ISACA has different courses whereby can help you, like CISA is an example of a very good course that will help you as a business person understand the business side of IT security and also help you with the technical aspect too. So, and also there's a course called CISM. And that one is also on the ISACA courses. So you can just go to their website. That would just give you like an highlight of different courses you can take. And also you can also decide to go back to school for your master's program in maybe IT security. Yeah, that would actually help you, or maybe in any other basic course in security. So you can go either route. You can come into the IT security field just like Ati as a sales. So you don't need any background in technical. You just come in as a sales. So far you can speak. Definitely you can read through what the marketer is trying to say and be able to communicate their business even to everyone out there. So I know one lady she's into cybersecurity sales. So she sells technological product to all the people around her. So she joined ISACA, and at the same time she was able to connect with people, sell those markets to them, at the same time bring profit to our organization. So she has the very good skill of speaking, just like Ati has. So she'll be able to communicate that business side of security to everyone. So you don't have to limit yourself. In short, just know that you can do it.
You bring a really good point that in cybersecurity, there's so many different roles out there. It doesn't have to just be this role that everyone's familiar with. There's BA, there is sales, you can be in marketing, you can be in finance. There's so many different roles. Mm-hmm. Manny and Sri, is there anything you would like to add on to that question?
I guess I'll start from the, let's say a person doesn't know about cybersecurity, right? So start with the basics. There are a lot of online courses which are free. When I think Cybery was one of them that I looked at, Udemy was one of them, you have LinkedIn Learning. You just start with the basics, understand what does cybersecurity comprise of, the different streams that you have, whether it's network security, application security, internet security. Cybersecurity is so broad. And when you get to know what each of them involves and which kind of puts you in that particular job stream, whether you want to be a penetration tester, whether you want to be, into cyber governance, risk and compliance, or whether you want to be in sales or you want to be product technologist, it all depends on your varied interests. So start with the basics. There are so many free resources available because of the traction that cybersecurity is gaining recently after we started the remote working. I would say start with the free resources that are available, and then once you get used to it, understand what it comprises of, you can streamline yourself into other upgrade to other courses.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I just would like to add one more point here. I suggest you to check your interest first. Coming from the non-technical background, I feel like compliance and risk are the easy ways to get into the field. So as Mani suggested, there are free resources. You just go through that and check what is your interest actually. Based on that, you can choose the path, as there are many ways into cybersecurity: risk management, compliance, auditing. Auditing is one of the easiest way to get into that for the non-technical people. Based on my experience, I'm telling that. Yeah, if you want to use the tools and want to be more technical, I suggest you to go for the masters. That is one of the best way, because I haven't studied here and I don't have the technical background. That because of that, I face a lot of challenges in the interviews. Especially, people will judge based on our certifications and our studies, even though we have the experience and abilities to do. But first, getting to the job is important. For that, they will go with the certifications and these things. So choose yourself what is best for you and what do you like to do. Based on that, we are always there for you. You can always reach us for any guidance anytime.
Yes, and you bring a really good point, Sri, with regards to how interviewers are selecting, right? They look at what's on paper sometimes. And this is important about connecting as you're wrapping up on that important point. Events like this, connect with each other, connect with us. This is where it will allow you to learn about different opportunities or attend different events to hear about the different opportunities out there. I see a really good question here from Mrigakshi. How do you think we can pursue an interviewer that they would not regret having another woman on their team? Who would like to take that?
I can say based on my last 1 year's interview experiences.
Go for it.
Yeah, so the demonstration skills are very important. How best we are demonstrating in the interview is very important, though we are women or men. We can, break those barriers of women when we demonstrate well, and when you're able to give the better examples, how you showcase based on the job description, the examples you are highlighting in those conversations are very important. I don't think so. Being women is one of the barrier here for the interviews.
Yeah.
They are looking for the best candidate. So it's all up to us how we believe in ourselves and how best we can showcase our abilities in the interview is very important.
It's one of the just wanted to add so it's one of the trend that we as community have to influence, right? So
yeah,
it's somebody is coming into cybersecurity. It's not about having a certification, but it's the attitude towards the work. So attitude toward the work is not taught, but certifications can be learned and gained. So as community, we should encourage people who show that attitude and yearning for, to learn new things. That's more important because certification skills you learn on the job as you grow. I feel that, that's the trend we should encourage, even in terms of talking to a recruiter. I think that's the major point that we need to drive. It's rather than, having a list of certification behind your name if you don't have enough experience. It's more about showing that attitude that you're willing to learn.
Yeah. Also, in addition to that, I would say that when you see a job description, you have to understand what they require of you to be doing on the job. Although I would say that, again, on the flip side of it, the kind of position they post out there might be different from what you eventually be doing. But if you kind of understand what they're trying to say on the job description, that will kind of give you an idea of how the interview is going to go. So you have an idea that, okay, this is the kind of question they're going to ask, and you'll be able to pattern your studying or preparing for that interview based on that. So when you get there, you'll be prepared, and you feel like you're confident of saying the right word and knowing what to say, hitting the right point. So yeah, thank you.
Mana, anything you'd like to add?
Well, I think that's a really interesting question. I think the way you phrased it, I would ask a few more questions, but I know it's not like an interactive. But so when I see questions like that, that's where my curiosity comes in. Like, what are some of the experiences you've had? Because you're using certain language, you're using pursue an interviewer, not regret having another woman. So I'm wondering what your experiences have been, and if are you trying to influence someone that's hiring and you're that woman already in that company, and are there some biases there, or are you trying to get a job at a company where there's another female there? So I don't know that I can answer that question specifically, because I think there's some other questions underneath it.
Yeah, in fact, just to end on that, and then because we do have a breakout room and we can probably go further on in smaller groups to answer some of these other questions. But just to add on to that is sometimes it's also leverage your network and have your network, or find a sponsor within the organization. If you're moving laterally, find a mentor, find a sponsor, use your references, use your connections to help sell you, or to help speak for you as well. So, there is still a lot of unconscious bias. So I know where that question could be coming from, because I know I've seen that for many years in this industry. But there are these unconscious biases, and sometimes just speak up. If you feel there's a hunch to that, just ask them, and ask them in a nice way. What are the reasons why they wouldn't want to hire you, so that you can address them. If there are any red flags in sales, we ask our customers, are there any red flags? So with that being said, I know we are at 6:45. We are going to break up into 5 breakout rooms. Is that right, Christine?
No, we're breaking out into 4 because Timmy has motherhood duties. And on this note, thank you very much, Timmy, for joining us today. What really hit me hard was your Choose to Challenge against racism. Thank you so much for joining us, and see you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tammy.
Thank everyone.
So we're going to break up into 4 rooms.
Yes.
I mean, the 5th one, we could put Juanita in the 5th one if you still had it set up as 5. But
yes, I was thinking of that, but I did not get Juanita's permission. Juanita, shall I get your permission now, please? And maybe for 1 minute, we can just have Juanita introduce herself. And YCIS as well, YCIS Western Canada. And I'll add myself.
So I'm one of the board advisors for the YCIS Western Canada. I'm originally from Ghana in West Africa. I've been in Canada for over 30 years in IT. I came here on a traineeship with IBM. I've been 25 years in leadership. I'm currently on the board of governors for the University of Manitoba. I was also the first Black and female of the Winnipeg Police Service IT, and a member of the Executive Council. I'm involved in a lot of volunteers, and my goal is to empower women. And those who know me, anything they tell me I can't do, that's when I work harder to prove them otherwise, and each time I have. So great to hear everybody, and great to, hopefully they've impacted you, and for you to know that there's nothing you can do. Just put your mind at it and be positive, and always make sure you have positive people around you. There's nothing you can do. Thank you.
Thanks, Juanita. So we have 4 rooms, 5 including the main room. Please choose which room you would like to join. Number 1, it's all in the chat. 1 with RT. Number 2, Sridevi. Number 3, Mana. Number 5, room 5, Juanita, and stay in the main room if you want to talk with Manny. All right, I'm going to open the rooms now. Oh, and then I will remove you. I will remove the spotlight as well. Are we good? Let's put see the gallery. Okay, maybe everybody who intends to stay in the main room, we would really appreciate if you show us your video so that Manny won't be talking to black boxes. Oh, hi, Haley. And we see May as well. And yeah. If you have questions or would want to share anything, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi. I was I was wondering day to day, what's the your favorite part of your job?
Okay, so I guess I'm going to relate to my personality. So I'm usually a curious person. Like if there is something, catching my curiosity, I'm gonna go in there and check for everything that I want to know about. I think that's helped me a lot personality wise, because cybersecurity is one field where you kind of start with, let's say, a drop in the ocean, you have the whole ocean. So I think that's the best part. Like there would be days where I'm like stuck with one thing and I'm trying to research on that, and then I feel so happy after I've found a fix, or I found a solution to that. It's as simple as like having a treasure island. Like you kind of search your treasure and then you find it.
That sounds really rewarding. Like just always having something new. But yeah, well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Yali.
And where are you joining us from, and what's your background?
Oh, I'm joining you from Victoria right now, and I'm a software engineering student at the moment. So,
all right. Are you thinking of going to cybersecurity?
Yeah, I think so. It seems really interesting. I'm still kind of early on in my schooling, but yeah, I'd really love to check it out more.
So, Manny, what's your advice for someone, in early in her studies? What would you tips?
Yeah. So I think if you want to explore cybersecurity, as I was telling earlier in the panel discussion, start with small, understand what cybersecurity comprises of. So as I said, there are different streams. To quote you the different streams, one is governance, risk, and compliance. You basically look at policies, procedures, how risk is managed, the compliance with various regulations. And then you have penetration testing, where you're basically attacking the attack surface of an organization, or you can be an ethical hacker for that matter. And then you have some sort of risk assessments, where you perform a system, or you perform risk for a particular project. What is it carrying? And you could also be in the auditing field, where you're basically auditing the controls around a system or an organization, sort of that. And as I said, there are different fields and streams. Once at least you have awareness, and there is network security, and then there is infrastructure security. So once each one of them, or okay, I'm interested in servers, how do I configure servers, is something that you're interested in. Infrastructure security. So it's based on your interest, how much depth you want to go, because mostly in this field, how many years of experience, it's basically specializing in one subject, because that's how you build your knowledge, because every time the systems and the technology keep on changing. So as you build your knowledge, you become the SMA in that field.
Good to know. I've heard it's very much like you pick something, you just kind of pursue it as hard as you can in the field.
Yeah, but I also want to give you it's not just that, because I have dealt with different things because of the opportunities that I have received in my career. I've worked a bit in India, then a bit in London, and then I was in Bermuda, and then I'm here in Vancouver. So everywhere, the whole environment is different. And you could do the audit, you can do the risk assessments, you could understand a penetration test report as well. So it's basically, exploring all of them when you get the opportunity as well.
That sounds really great. Well, thank you very much for your time. I've got to go do some school stuff right now.
Go ahead.
But
thanks for joining, though.
Good question. Yeah. Any other questions? Up close. So Manny, tell us about YCs, Western.
Yeah, so I'm very glad and very happy to let everybody know that we have WICYS, which is Women in Cybersecurity, WICYS. We have started that for Western Canada. It's a global organization with headquarters in US. We already have our sister, which is WICYS Ontario, and then we recently started in March 2021, which is WICYS Western Canada. So if you're part of any of the provinces starting from Manitoba, Saskatchewan, British Columbia, Alberta, or Northern Territories, feel free to join that affiliate. I've shared the LinkedIn link earlier. It's basically to encourage women in cybersecurity, provide that platform to get to know more about this profession, encourage speakers to speak on different topics, network with peer group, network with like me or others. And we also conduct events. And I would like to say that our affiliate membership is free, so anybody can come and join. Visas US or the global affiliate is the one which is the paid one, but you're free to join our affiliate, get involved in the events, participate, volunteer, and get to know more of this, profession. We get to interact with different sister organizations or the different organizations like Squist. We have ISACA, and then we also have visas around the world. So we encourage people to come and join. So please feel free to join.
Thank you. And our friends are going to come back in as I speak. How was it, everyone? I hope you enjoyed coming up close with our speakers. And yes, at this point, we'd like to thank you all, our speakers from YC's Western Canada affiliate. Thank you very much for spending this last event of Squist, celebrating International Women's Month as well as belated International Women's Day. We wish you success with the new affiliate, of which, disclosure, I'm on the board of advisors. And thank you very much, everyone who's attended today.
Thank you.
We have other events at Swift. Check us out at swift.ca. Thank you and have a good night. Bye.
Thank you,
Good
Christy.
night. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Everyone.
So
Thank
Aarti,
you.
oops. Can I talk to Aarti for a second?
I'm sorry. Can you say that again, please?
Yeah, I wanted to talk to Aarti. We were talking and the break room was,
Oh, sure.
the
Continue
timing was
conversation.
over.
Yes. You're welcome to continue the conversation and we will eavesdrop.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
All the women will contribute, so go for it.
well, I will turn on my video next time. Today, it's, yeah.
And on that note, I'm going to stop recording.